this is what I do. I have pride in what I do. Cal John has pride in what they do.
It's global, and that's where we want to try and reach out, and these farmers are trying to reach out and reach that global platform.
Can you see my whole face or no?
Everybody, let's see, and I am recording.
I'm in a 120-year-old house, so it could be the walls crooked too.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today we are here to talk about California Giant's path to sustainability. And today we have joining us Kevin Warner from SCS Global Services talking about their Sustainably Grown certification program. We have Nikki Cossio from Measure to Improve. We have Eric Valenzuela, California Giant's Director of Food Service and Sustainability, and Rich Udo, founder and grower for Satsuma Farms.
Let's make some eye contact. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you everybody for being here.
Of course.
We'd like to start off with you, Eric. Can you give us a brief overview of California Giant and the sustainability programs? And furthermore, talk about the goals that has led us to the achievements that we're celebrating today.
Of course. So for the overview for California Giant and our sustainability program, it really, it's about protecting the land on which we grow our berries so that we will continue to have viable farming for generations to come. It's caring for people, both within our company and our communities, ensuring that we give the best food safe, quality, and sustainable products to our customers and consumers. And that includes social accountability. For everyone involved in our business, including customers and consumers, in which we are committed to our values, which include mutual respect, fairness in all we do, and to us, that's the full definition of what being sustainable is.
Great, thank you. Rich, in response to what Eric just shared, can you share some examples of how you experience and live and breathe that at the farm level?
Changing the culture of the people. You know, letting them try to explain to the people that work for me that, hey, you know, it's going to be it's a new culture.
Nikki, can you share with us an overview of what Measure to Improve is and detail a little bit about your role played with California Giant on this journey towards sustainability?
Sure, thank you. Measure to Improve is a sustainability consulting firm that's committed to helping growers, shippers, processors collect, report, validate, and communicate their sustainability initiatives to the ever-growing environmentally and socially conscious consumers and buyers. And our role really started a few months prior to piloting the Sustainably Grown certification with Rich Udo and Satsuma Farms. We were really brought in to help sift through some of the requests that were coming in around sustainability, help Cal Giant prioritize the approach, help set some goals, and help them select and pilot the right certification. And in regards, and specifically to the certification, we approached that effort by developing and presenting a comparison of standards. And from there, Cal Giant was able to find the one that made the best fit for their culture, for their organization, one that really complemented the holistic approach to sustainability, how California Giant defined sustainability. And what was really important is that whatever standard and certification they landed on really had to have that strong emphasis on social accountability. That was one of the pressure points coming from the buyers to go above and beyond these codes of conduct. And so Cal Giant had to take into consideration a standard that would not only help them in the area of social accountability, but help them prepare to respond to these multiple other requests for environment and the economics, and really address the triple bottom line. A few other ways that we really helped support the process is once we decided on Sustainably Grown, we helped create this framework to collect and organize and prepare the documentation for certification, which in turn really made that audit process more efficient by having that information ready and available. We recognize that growers have a lot on their plate. Not only are they responsible for growing the products, but they've got regulatory mandates, they've got food safety audits, they've got pest, pressures. So we had to recognize that we couldn't do it all at once. We had to chip away at it. So we prioritized, helped set goals and milestones along the way. And then finally, we were able to participate in the actual audit process altogether. So this was a first for all of us. This was a first for Cal Giant. This was a first for Rich Udo, and this was the first for Measure to Improve. But I'm excited that we're not just stopping there, that there is a goal to continue this process to create something that the entire organization can start working on.
Yeah. Rich, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so if it wasn't for Measure to Improve and the whole team, and we go back to team, it was totally a team effort, from Nikki's team to the team that, I put together, and, there's no I. It's just what we put together, and it only happened because we all worked together on this one. One thing that happened prior to that was they were able to kind of steer us in the right direction. When we went in this, it was pretty much blind, but they kind of, Measure to Improve basically took us in a direction, and we were just foot soldiers, keep on just grinding away at it, and finally, got to the end. And if it wasn't for Measure to Improve, it would have really never happened. And then, with Cal Giant, I explained this, like you had to have someone like Cal Giant to be able to put this together. So it just kind of was this whole team thing that I keep on stressing. It's the only way to get done. And plus, everybody had to believe in sustainability. And I think that's the one thing that Measure to Improve is there, because they believe in sustainability. They know that this is the way it's got to be. Maybe not in my lifetime, but for the future, definitely. So
I would like to add to that. I think that the success of this pilot project was really built on that teamwork. It took Cal Giant's commitment to follow through and invest in this program. It took Rich Udo to take that leap of faith and really be transparent about the process, good, bad, or indifferent. He wanted to learn how to get better and how to address some of these things that are, and prepare for things coming our way. And then Measure to Improve was there to support the efforts and partner with each of you. So it really was about teamwork.
And Kevin, you're here from Sustainably Grown Certification Program. Share with us a little bit about the overview of the program and your perspective at large of the increase of demand from all stakeholders of why this is important.
Retailers are asking sustainability questions of grower shippers. There's consumers that are constantly wanting to know how their food is grown, where it comes from. They want to feel more connected to the food they eat, and they want to trust it, right? And I think it goes beyond food safety. They want to know more. And the challenge, especially on the retailer side, is everyone's asking that sustainability question, but it's on a spectrum, right? And so some retailers are really focused on social compliance, making sure there's no forced labor or child labor, those sorts of issues. Other retailers are very interested in environmental issues, looking at issues of biodiversity or soil health or greenhouse gas emissions, or the list goes on. And the challenge, I think, for growers is every retailer wants something different, right? Everyone's looking for something different. So what the Sustainably Grown program aims to be, it's more than an audit. It's a pathway for sustainable agriculture. It's a path you can follow, and through continuous improvement, be more and more sustainable. The audit itself, is robust. There are over 370 indicators across the 3 pillars of sustainability. Looking at social, environmental, and economic resilience. So we can get into that more later, and I think as we discuss Rich's experience, but that's sort of the broad overview.
Eric, can you talk to us a little bit about the decision-making process that led Cal Giant to select the Sustainably Grown certification program as opposed to any other variety of programs that are available to us?
We found that SES's Sustainably Grown certification process to be comprehensive, holistic, and in line with our growers' daily operational practices. It hit all the marks from an operational and customer standpoint as well. We found that the certification aligned with a number of our other efforts that we have in place. And that includes our zero waste programs here at our corporate headquarters, as well as our blockchain compliance, for example, as an example. Sustainably Grown has helped us set that bar by taking the certification process beyond the field or pack house, but across our entire supply chain, truly from farm to fork. And Sustainably Grown is a transparent program that goes above and beyond the minimum requirements. And that's why we continually strive to do in everything we do at California Giant.
Kevin, do you have anything to add to that level of detail and importance in all of the areas that your certification process touches on?
The challenge with certification standards in general is right now they're voluntary, and they are something to differentiate an operation or a brand. And so they set a much higher bar than any sort of industry standard, if that makes sense. It's a differentiator, and so it goes into best practices. It's not just the bare minimum that certain industry groups have sustainability programs across their industries. The challenge here is that it is a lot more detailed, and it's designed to be hard. And there's a reason, like strawberries are very worker heavy, right? There's a lot of manual labor, and it's one of the harder crops to grow domestically. And there's a reason there hasn't been a lot of adoption of sustainability standards in general. And there's a reason Rich is the first sustainably grown strawberry farmer in the world, because it's hard. We've seen a lot more adoption in, say, tropical fruits, where the economics of workforces are different, where you've got year-round production and you don't have the migrant workforces that we have in U.S. production. So I think there's been faster adoption in other parts of the world because of the difference in economics, essentially. But it's coming, and I think there's in the next 4 or 5 years it's going to shift from being, say, an elective thing, or it's going to be a cost of doing business. And we already see that in Europe. Almost every European retailer requires a sticker on imported crops, right? Whether that's sustainably grown or fair trade or Rainforest Alliance. If it's coming into mainland Europe, it's got to be certified under one of these programs. So I think the writing's on the wall in a lot of ways there.
Thank you. Nikki, can you speak from an industry's perspective as to why the Sustainably Grown certification program has so much value?
I think certification in general is, first and foremost, it provides a third-party validation, and that means it ensures the process is transparent and trustworthy. It means that somebody else has substantiated the claims that you're making in the area of sustainability, including the practices that you have in place, the initiatives around taking responsibility for the environmental impacts, ensuring the safety and well-being of their workforce. It provides a shortcut, really, to addressing multiple requests for information. It helps build that brand trust. As Kevin said, it's a differentiator. And for the buyers, the reason they're asking for it is because they want to mitigate their risks. They want some assurance that they're buying from somebody that's taking these initiatives and this environmental responsibility and social responsibility. And overall, certification is really a great way to be able to validate and back up any marketing claims that an organization makes about their own brand. It's not just about California Giant being able to say, we do this, or the grower saying, we have these practices in place. It's somebody else coming in and really verifying that you're doing exactly what you say you're doing. So I think it's really important, and it's something, that we all need to consider moving forward. I'll end with that.
Thank you. Rich, Kevin just finished a moment ago commenting that this is a hard process. Talk to us about the process at large. What was the timetable and how long did it take for you and your team to sit down with Eric and the founders of Cal Giant to say, here's our goals, how are we going to achieve that? What led that to today being the very first certified strawberry grower in the world?
So the biggest task was early on, and this process started over 2 years ago. And I remember Eric approaching me on this one, and to be honest with you, I had no clue on it because this was something new. And I think, my mindset was always trying to think about being sustainable, but never knew the word. So now I know the word, I know what this means. And I guess the biggest task up front was the social accountability part. I think that was the biggest challenge. But, the team, from Yvette and everybody that worked for me, they did what they need to do. And Yvette and working with MTI was just, it wasn't as crazy and difficult because it was a team effort. But yeah, I think the beginning part was getting all the information for the social accountability part. I don't know if I made this comment about when you farm in California, you pretty much are socially accountable. There's no way that any farmer can get away with anything from treating the employees unfairly. And I'm about that too. My attitude's always been like, hey, I'm not ever want to be bigger than anybody else. I just want to be treated the same way I treat others. That's kind of been my philosophy. That kind of, attitude kind of resonates with everybody that works for me or I work with, and that's kind of where it was. But it was a challenge, definitely. And about the transparency part, there's nothing to hide. If I did something wrong, then I'd rather be transparent. Someone tell me, hey, you're doing something wrong. So I'd rather be transparent. And I guess maybe some growers might have problems with that, but I had no problem with that, being transparent. I'd rather be that and fix the problem if I did something wrong. So yeah. That was the whole process.
Thank you. I want to talk about challenges and successes during that process. Rich, sticking with you, what would you say was that sticks out in your mind in terms of both challenges and successes throughout that 2-year process?
I think that the success was just changing the culture of the ranch. I mean, in general, we started a recycling program. These guys were they're like, kind of like, really, you're going to do something like this? And training the employees about recycling and what's recycled and what's not. And we challenge that every day with everybody. But that, I think that was one of the successes. They understand more about that part. I think environmentally we were already doing it because, I've always been one of those guys that wanted to just take care of I want to be a good steward of the ground that we farm and put back in what we take out. That's really simple. So I think overall we were kind of doing it, but with MTI's help, and we were able to put that on paper. I guess that was the whole part. The pieces were there. It was just kind of integrating everything. So that was a challenge, but because the help from the whole team from Measure to Improve, it was all intertwined, and it came out like, well, voila, we're sustainably growing now. But I think the pieces were already there. And yeah, and then the transparency part wasn't a problem at all. I had no problem with it, but.
Kevin, what advice do you give to your potential customers when it does come to setting them up for the challenges that they may face? What's advice that you would give them when it comes to that respect?
Yeah, I think Rich is a unique situation, both in terms of the practices he was already implementing and the help from Nikki and her team at Mesh to Improve. They were really well prepared, and it was a lot of work ahead of time, but the certification itself was pretty smooth, I would say. That's not true for everyone, and for some operations, it's a lot of work on the back end after your audit to get certified. And I think the one takeaway is that's okay. We try and meet everyone where they are and move them down that sustainability path. And not everyone's in California, right? I mean, you're in a pretty unique regulatory environment there. Not everyone's in America, where there are a lot of, I'd say, enforced laws. Everywhere has laws, but the level of enforcement varies quite a bit from country to country. So, I think it's a big tent kind of idea, right? There's room for everyone at the sustainably grown table if we're mixing our metaphors there. It's a process, right? And there's no finish line. There's no you get certified, but then guess what? There's another audit coming up next year, and we're going to look at all of it again. So it's an ongoing process, and like Rich said, it's creating that management system, right? It's changing the culture of the operation by implementing a lot of these other elements and practices.
Yeah.
So in closing, we've heard from all of you about the Sustainably Grown certification and what it means, what it takes to reach the certification ultimately, and why stakeholders find value in it. And so what would be your closing remarks to growers as to why you would advise them to invest in sustainability in a similar way? Nikki, you've touched on that there's no one size fits all. So whether it's the SCS Sustainably Grown certification program or the right program that fits for them, but what would be your advice as to why that this is important and why they should embark on such endeavor?
I think it's important for all growers to understand that they don't have to start from scratch. It's just really about documenting and begin tracking what they're already doing. I really think it's also important that we need to borrow those lessons learned from food safety. And what I mean by that is, sustainably grown certification or certification in general provides a way for us to avoid the duplicative audits and the surveys that are coming our way. Sustainability is quickly becoming the cost of doing business and resembles what food safety looked like in the early stages. This is the age of transparency. To Kevin's point, consumers want to know where and how their food is grown. And certification really serves as a way to satisfy that customer demand, mitigates those risks for the buyers, and it also provides a value add to your organization. So it's important when you embark on this to set some goals, set some expectations, which provides the roadmap, and keep that momentum going. Sustainability is a journey, not a destination. I mean, Rich isn't done yet. We're still going to help build upon the existing program that he has, but it is about building the culture, and which is hard. But once you get everybody on that same page, you realize that it takes an entire organization, it takes everybody within the supply chain to keep the momentum of sustainability going. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Kevin, in closing, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, I guess the main thing is this is coming for everyone. And I don't say that in a threatening way, but it's an opportunity. I had a long call this morning with the second largest retailer in Germany, and this is a requirement. It's already just a cost doing business if you want to sell into their 3,300 stores. And I think there's always advantages to first movers, right? They get that differentiation, but if you know it's coming, the audit isn't a have to, right? Like the Sustainably Grown standard is freely available on the internet, and you can take it and start working at it, start documenting your processes and figuring out. You do self-assessment and figure out where are the gaps? What are the things we know we need to be working on? Because these are going to be issues in the next few years that retailers will require being addressed. You know, the current landscape is the retailers are looking up to the point of like the pack house in their supply chain, right? They're looking at facilities to audit, but the fields and the farm workers, that's next, and it's gonna be soon. So get ahead of that, right? You know, if you know it's coming, you know where the industry is going, you can prepare, and it doesn't have to be painful.
Very good. Thank you. Richard, we're going to end with you. I can see from my standpoint all of the hard work you and your team did, and every time I hear you talk about that, you always add the word passion, and I know that it just reflects off of you as you walk down the furrows of your strawberry fields. But can you talk to us about that and the hard work that led up to today?
Yeah, I guess it's something that, passion might be the word. It is the word because I believe in it. I mean, it's got to be part of it. I mean, I'm probably in my last third of my life, and I want to make an impact for the future. And this is one of the impacts I want to make is about being sustainable. About, it's not, you can't do it the same way we've been doing it in the past. There's been a lot of, I don't want to use the abuse might be a too strong of a word, but we've done things that not been sustainable, and we need to fix our process, and it is a cost. And maybe some growers don't want to hear that, but this is part of the process of being able to market your product, and you have to believe in it. That's the bottom line. You don't believe in it, then it's going to be pretty hard to get through the process because you're just going to say, why am I doing this? It's not about the whys anymore. You just got to do it. Let's just do it. This is part of the process now. There's a reason why everybody's asking this question about sustainability, from the consumer to the retailer, because the consumer is telling the retailer, hey, where's this fruit coming from? How's it grown? Are they, maybe they don't use the word sustainable, but that's kind of how it is. And it's going to come back to, like Eric says, it's going to come from the farm all the way to the fork to the consumer. So we're just closing the gap, and I think rather be transparent. It is what it is. I mean, we just got to do it. Now is the time to do it. Okay, and everything that we're going through now with what's going on in our lives right now, this is the time to do it now. This is, hey guys, we can slow down and do it. This is the time to do it. I really believe that. We got time. It's your time to do it. Do it. My attitude. That's how I am. Just do it. Yeah, passion. Got to believe it.
Can I say one more thing? I think it's important to say that there is a value back, to the people, the growers that are doing this, because it's an opportunity to really find efficiencies, inefficiencies within your organization by begin tracking, this information. So I think for growers to really engage and believe in this process, they have to understand that this is not just about checking a box. It's not just about compliance with buyers and customers. There really is a value back to the organization, and it's not an immediate return on investment. To Rich's point, this takes a long time, but I think he has an intimate understanding. Not that you didn't have an understanding of your business, but I think it just presents an opportunity to find ways to reduce your resource use and become more efficient in the long run. That's the only thing I wanted to say.
Well, thank you all for being here. And Rich, once again, congratulations on being the very first strawberry grower in the world to be certified by Sustainably Grown.
Thank you.